Virtus Pro. Roger's gonna start things off, taking one hell of a lot of Shadow Poison charges. We've got a Wraith King Warlock versus an Omni Knight Elder Titan. A mid matchup of No One's Gyrocopter versus Setsu's Leshrac. They're going to give Setsu Leshrac, which is pretty incredible as this hero has really been shining at the playoffs.
Yes. I think that, especially with the way that Smail's been making it look, it has so many good things going for it. You don't really lose very many lanes. Like, you feel quite good against most lanes. It sets up for kills easily. It pairs with one of the most important / versatile 5 positions in the game, Shadow Demon. Like, there's so many different ways to utilize Shadow Demon around your Lesh. Leshrac is one of those heroes where you want to burst as soon as possible because of his toolkit, the way that Pulse Nova and Edict works. If he's disrupted, it'll continue to go up, and you can use it to set up for his stun. Like, there's so many different ways that these heroes pair together.
Tiny Centaur lane against a Faceless Void. Shadow Demon Roger's been trying to get real aggressive, interrupting Afu's pulling. Is this a matchup? It looks like Virtus Pro, they're just going to have to dominate the laning phase in that first 20 minutes of the game, right?
I sort of think so, but I think what the real crux of the lineup is, they want to just run at you.
Yeah.
They have 5 really good heroes that are running at you. They're just going to face check team fights. What I really like about the Warlock Wraith King interaction is that the way that Wraith King works as a hero is once you go on him once, you don't have to just drop your rock reflexive.
Oh, Setsu, that's going to be a first blood for no one. Unexpected in this mid matchup.
Did he just get soloed?
Yes, he did. Completely solo, completely 1v1, and Roger, with the Invis rune that he stole away from Afu earlier, does manage to find a kill on the opposing support.
Surprise! As he was headed towards mid lane, but that was sort of rendered pointless since no one just killed him.
Good start for Virtus Pro here. It's 2-0, but they're going to need a lot more, as you said. They're going to need to run at you. They're going to need to be able to find strong initiations, especially against this lineup of Void plus Leshrac. That's a deadly teamfight duo. Virtus Pro, Ramsey's going to be pushed back here, so instead they're going to get a lot of damage on a solo as he goes for the body block.
Did that throw you off for a second?
What?
Nothing.
Sitting in position.
Is this a free
go for the toss back. Look at Roger. He wants to be able to get another kill on Tetsu. It looks like he might just be able to get it with the avalanche. The toss back into the jar. One runs into the tier 1 tower range, and that rocket barrage will just eat Setsu up.
This is such a good start for no one. Goes without saying, but 2 kills, 14 CS. This is the kind of hero where I feel like Gyrocopter, if the laning phase goes well with that, you're really happy. Since you're prioritizing going for your rocket barrage and your homing missile over just like pure power leveling flat cannon.
It's certainly going to offer a lot more kill power. Comes to some of these team fights. Roger now trying to be that roaming Tiny, and we've seen a lot of success of that in the group stage. We got to cast several Infamous games where it was very good. It's
very good for ganking the mid lane, but I think part of the problem is what Infamous were able to do around that hero was protect their safe lane.
Yeah.
You had Schofield rotate towards the top lane, get kills, and just flip between mid and top. In a game like this, I don't actually think they can kill Omni, which is why I said, is this a free Omni game? Because I don't think he really cares about Warlock as a 5 position, and I don't even think he cares about Wraith King as a carry.
Oh, I think so too, especially with the Heavenly Grace. Roger managed to find haste route with the missile in flight. Is going to be able to get a chain stun on a Setsu, but with multiple rotations from RNG. Virtus Pro in discipline will back up, and it looks like they're going to try and secure the bounty runes at the right side of the map. This is going to leave Flyby alone, but as you said, because it's kind of a free Omni game at level 4, he does not care about a 1v2 at all.
Yeah, he's really happy about this. In fact, he's getting solo XP for it. But Lanem is going to make his way back up to top. Rune's about to spawn. Ramsey's going to snag that real quick.
That'll be 3 for Virtus Pro, thanks to the quick thinking of Ramsey's. Still, though, top CS occupied by both the Omni Knight as well as the Faceless Void, Flyby, and Monet. Flyby has certainly been doing his fair share of carrying, of course, Monet being the superstar of RNG.
So normally when Infamous takes this sort of lineup, they'll make the same rotation, but they'll have a 5 position that can pressure in the same lane. So when Schofield does make his inevitable gank up towards top, the Tiny's able to do something.
Yeah.
In this game, because he can't make his way towards top, RNG can just sit one of their supports mid because they know that's the only lane that he can afford to play in. You're not going to kill a board with this hero either. So you're stuck into a position where this is the stun. The crowd reacts. They voice their disapproval.
Oh, look at Roger. He's thinking, oh, Setsu, you want to come at me? I'll toss you into no one. Then you'll see.
That was pretty rough.
Yeah.
He probably should have had that.
That was a totally free kill. RNG had kind of set up a trap between their 2 supports, Afu and Lanim.
But when you can't gank any of the side lanes, and you don't have these pressure heroes,
Yep.
It makes it really easy for the enemy 5 to just sit behind mid and not really lose out on too much because you know where the Tiny is.
Oh, Monet, bash after bash. The RNG is in his favor. And with the stomp to be able to finish him off, Lanim claims kill. Pasha.
Let me say conversely, Cap, it's really easy for RNG to set up kills with the heroes that they have in any lane, but Roger running at Afu for the time being.
Dire's middle tower.
Sad part is, again, he can get behind that Omni Knight as many times as he wants to, but toss it into Wraith King and Warlock. That's going to be hard kills. You can see Flyby with the Heavenly Grace able to purge off some of the damage from Brave Fire Blast and the Shadow Word, Fatal Bond. It's just a perfect lane for Omni Knight to be in.
So you said that you thought the laning phase was going to be, or that VP needed a really good laning phase, but RNG's laning phase is going to be fine. Despite the 3-1 kill lead, RNG is only down by K.
And that's definitely concerning for Virtus Pro. We heard their coach, RZ. Nice disruption into the split. This time, there will be no mistakes. Roger will die.
You could hear frustration in RZ's voice when she was like, last game you had a good draft and you still lost. And he was like, yeah, did.
Yeah, win drafts, lose games, so let's take the opposite approach in this one. Let's lose the draft and see what happens. Do you agree with that? Do you actually agree with the sentiment that they lost the draft a bit?
Is that what the draft thought?
I actually don't know.
I could see how they win this game. Faceless Void isn't fantastic against Wraith King.
Yeah.
I think this is actually a pretty good run at you lineup. Just there's a lot of counter initiation, which is usually the way you play around that. Like they have Omni Knight and ET and Shadow Demon. Like I think I like their supports better on the side of RNG personally.
They're certainly going to look good with a Faceless Void, whether it's the saving mechanism of the disruption or all the damage that they can lay into a Chronosphere. 6 energy there. They scale well into the late game. Virtus Pro, especially with the laning phase going the way it is, they're going to need to hit that really strong mid-game timing. They do have relatively low cooldowns, so they're just going to have to hit back to back to back, even sometimes without the golem being available to them. I think they're just going to have to keep fighting through it. So no one just goes ahead and gives up that mid lane to Roger for him to get a little bit of experience. He is quite low level. We see this from this 4 position. Tiny who rotates around non-stop. He's going to be a good boy and actually stack for his cores here. Stacks both the camps quite nicely. And returns to mid lane to start getting some levels. Maybe not. No one's just being greedy. He's taking all of the smoke right now. In a relatively quiet laning phase right now, in part because we just don't really have
gank
the heroes to be able to run around and gank. The side lanes are just a bit too strong. Even that Centaur versus the Faceless Void matchup, it needs a bit of luck on RNG's side to be able to claim a kill like that.
I think this game, at least till the mid game, will be a farm fest.
Yeah.
Until you get levels on the side of VP, and that's why no one, he's got a lot of camp attack from. He's just going to clear these in the jungle, no problem.
And maybe these kind of stacks are going to artificially raise up this Gyrocopter's timing, and he can maybe surprise RNG. I mean, we've seen Gyrocopter, I was quite surprised, being very successful hero without being paired with the IO bottom lane. They do manage to kill Pasha. Setsu makes the rotation over to secure the bounty runes. They are going to try and get the top lane, but Flyby actually managed to snag that bounty rune. Now the TP's going to come in to make sure he's okay. They canceled the TP. One last heal before he goes, but Flyby, surrounded by 4 heroes, just will not make it out alive. The last Brave Fire Blast secures it, as Solo is the one to get the last hit between the last word and that little bit of damage off the neutrals as well, thanks to the Fatal Bomb.
It looked like they were backing up after they saw the TP. But once the TP got canceled,
Dire's middle
wasn't able to
tower
come in,
is
Monet.
under pressure.
Well, Chronosphere has been used. Is this an opportunity? Can Virtus Pro make a play towards that bottom lane? Or are we just back to the farming game?
I think we're just sort of back to the farming game.
All right,
This is what happens when you can't really pressure through like simple ganks.
yeah.
So what we'll instead see is probably just explosive team fights. The way that both lineups work, it's gonna be, can you hold against the tide? When Virtus Pro just gather up as 5, they Centaur ult Warlock drop onto you. Can RNG counter initiate, get enough heals off?
Look at this. Both teams are looking to make the same maneuver here. A smoke up of the mid laner off of a support and rotate into the enemy safe lane. Virtus Pro is going to do it first.
Look at the timing of this, and they're going to run into Ramses, who got stunned up by the Centaur, but he's at the shrine. They need to hurry up and TP. Roger already starts it, but
he has a reincarnation. No one. What a fast rotation from him. Instantly TPs to the mid lane. Is going to be able to catch at least one. And look at Ramses go. He's going to be able to get the stun onto Setsu with Roger with the follow-up as well. They're going to lay into that left Shrek and pick up the double kill for no one. As you said, things are going to start in a hurry. It's going to be explosive team fights, and with RNG having their smoke run into a Wraith King, disaster occurs.
RNG have the most like bend don't break lineup I've ever seen. What's going to happen is they're going to get run at, and they have to just be able to hold up spell usage. They've got
top tower
right here the
is under
counter initiating though, Cap. They've got Chronos here, they have Shadow Demon Disruption, they have Heavenly Grace. They're able to reset fights really nicely.
Dire's top tower
If VP can just get on top of them and pick off heroes individually one by one, that's where their lineup is going to be very strong once they start with a numbers advantage.
Pasha trying to chip away at that bottom tower, activates his retaliate stacks, but doesn't really commit to the towers. A little bit skittish just because there's so many heroes of RNG off map right now, but it looks like with the rotation of Roger and no one, they should be able to find. They're not sure exactly where he went to. It's a really good rotation through the trees, but still Afu will eventually be found and killed. We haven't mentioned it, but Fatal Bombs plus Black Cannon, that's got to be a sick combo.
But their mid tower's being pressured. They have to defend this.
Dire's middle
So they're going to bring back no one. They know that bottom tower is already free. Flybys here too. They wanted to bring the strongest hero in. Monet going to get run into by Ramses. He's going to throw out the stun. No one's going to defend his tower.
is under
And as long as they can keep this mid tower alive, VP can continue to get aggressive around the map. And in fact, I think they should think about taking mid tower themselves at some point. The downside is the carry is going to go for that Radiance, but I don't even mind Ramses just coming in at this point. Secure the tower with your ulti.
Yeah. Especially, is he level 12 yet? No, he's still only level 10. Maybe he just doesn't want to have to use that really lengthy reincarnation cooldown. It's Roger. He's going to try and get that toss on a flyby, but maybe the Omni-Knight is not the best target.
And he's going to TP out to the other side of the map, understanding that he's pressing his luck a little bit too much, and his timing couldn't have been more perfect. RNG, because they've taken the top tower, they know if he is farming that jungle area, the shrine won't be near enough, and they can probably pop 2 lives.
Yep.
But Ramses read that really nicely, was able to understand that they were probably making their way for him.
And even though these carries both went for the Hand of Midas and their timing is going to be similar in that regard, the Wraith King does have that option of always just being able to summon the skeletons and TP to the other side of the map, knowing that the skeletons will push in the waves and force rotations.
Oh, look at this. They've read them perfectly. They're drawing the lines. They know they're up there.
Yep. And they're just going to play on this right-hand side behind the
But they
mid
have
tower.
to
They
defend
still
mid
want to be
tower.
able to protect it, but at the same time, if they don't engage into RNG, the Diabolic Edict will finish off this mid tower. And Roger trying to brave that distance, but now made caught by RNG. Monet doesn't want to use the Chronosphere for just a tiny. He's going to get bonked in the head, but that's what Flyby is there for, with Heavenly Grace and ready to go with the heals. Now Roger's going to be slowed down. They do have good ultimate coming out from Nope. The turnaround with the Avalanche as well. Can they do any sort of damage? These are really tanky heroes on the side of RNG. Onto the Jar Copter. They're going to be able to Chronosphere. They can't forget dropping with the Fatal Bonds as well. Now the Black Cannon shots raining out on RNG. All of them quite low, but do they have the catch? A nice toss onto Pasha. Will be able to get the stun onto Leshek to finish off. And now the Rocket Barrage running down Flyby. Missile nails him, and there's just nowhere to run to, nowhere to hide. He's going to try and outpace no one, hide around these trees, away from the rocket barrage, just buying more and more time if possible. Drums being activated by Pasha just to make sure with the TP way, but the stop's there. This is why Pasha continue to chase with the gyrocopter all along.
And they got split up way too much in that engagement. Trying to do a little bit too much. Once the Omni went onto the high ground, that fight was completely done. They weren't able to hold.
And they really funneled with that deep chronosphere. They funneled into that that part of the mid lane where just a beautiful Fatal Bonds and Chaotic Offering was just going to cause so much chaos and damage, no matter what the Omni Knight heals could do for you.
So there's one incorrect thing that RNG is doing is they're running at heroes after the fact.
Okay.
Like making your way towards that top lane, I think is such a big mistake because you know that Ramses isn't going to continue that push. The better move to make at that point is to go towards the triangle, because in Dota, you don't want to just run at dots. You want to try to anticipate what the next move is.
Okay.
If you're going for the previous play, you go towards that top lane, you're just wasting your time. There's no carry that's crazy enough without a tier 1 tower to push past where your previous tower point used to be.
Right.
So what you have to do then is anticipate the next maneuver. You have to go with Creep Wave is going to be send your Leshrac up there to farm that wave up, push it in. 3 heroes go to gank, they feel safe. You get the kill on the Wraith King in that way.
RNG trying to do a better job of hunting down these Virtus Pro heroes.
Yeah, that's why Ramses was able to sniff out the gank at bottom too.
Yeah.
They came down for him, but there will be a certain point where Ramses will just retreat into the jungle, and you have to learn how to anticipate that. When you push out the top lane and you don't go for the tower, you can assume that somebody from VP will then TP up there, push out the lane themselves. If it's a carry, he'll get it to a certain point, then move to another part of the map. And that's what the real difficulty of Dota is, trying to understand where that next move is going to be.
And because of that failure, we're going to see a Radiance picked up by Ramses fairly soon here without dying once. But this is very well covered up by the fact that Monet has kept his farm up very high and actually have the Hand of Midas into a Maelstrom. He's not that far behind the Gyrocopter. He's actually ahead of the Wraith King, especially with the tower being taken now by RNG at the top tier 2. That net worth gets boosted up even further.
But the gold lead, relatively even. Monet gonna sense things. Roger smoked up. He's been using a lot of individual smokes to get things started. And because VP is taking this tower a little bit later, they're gonna get pressured in other lanes. But because it's so well set up, it's impossible for RNG to defend this tower. They don't know what the vision is. They don't have vision themselves down there. I mean, they'd be walking in blind if you're wondering why they're not just going for it.
Yeah, especially with now they've seen a BKB picked up by no one, just delivered. And he's going to be the first one on the scene defending this mid-tier 2 because he's got that reincarnation in hand.
Yeah, in 5-on-5 situations, you're only going to defend that area if you have vision pre-set up.
Yeah.
That's like the number one thing that I see a lot of pubs make a mistake around. It's they want to defend or take fights where they don't have vision. Then you're just coin flipping for yourself. You're hoping that the enemy team also doesn't have vision and that you could just out team fight them.
Yeah.
But what you want to do in pro games is eliminate that random chance. Don't just leave it up to, well, hopefully we click buttons a little bit better. You want to make things as easy for yourself as possible.
Lots of deep vision down from Virtus Pro, as we saw. RNG already had one idea of where a ward was going to be, and Afu still does not spot it.
Did they not see it?
They had that sentry down before the ward was placed, but
I don't actually think they see it.
They've just walked past it.
It's in such a weird position where I actually think it's just outside the vision at bottom lane.
Able to run down Stu, TP out, actually Eul's Scepter, but the stomp is still there. If he had been a little bit faster on the Eul's TP, maybe he could have done it. I'm not sure how long the animation of the stomp.
And that's actually the classic case of they anticipated him to be down there.
Yeah. They actually read where Setsu was going to be pushing out the lane. Virtus Pro, as soon as he kind of pokes his head out, they immediately cut it off. And now they're going to be well set up to establish dominant map controls. The 20-minute bounty runes coming up. And Virtus Pro leading the charge. Ramses with the Radiance, now level 15 as well, with the 15 strength talent that so many Wraith Kings have been taking. This is a really big power spike for him.
They know he's strong right now. They want to play behind him.
Not even bothering to mess around with the bounty runes right now. They try and get some chip damage on the tier 2, knowing that RNG aren't really in position to claim those bounty runes on the right side of the map.
At this point, the Wraith King is better than the Faceless Void because
Yeah.
the Chrono doesn't hard counter you. In fact, you want to be countered. You want to be chronoed if you're Ramses. He's going to ignore it. You chrono him, he pops a second life. By the time he's alive, he can run at you, and that big team fight ulti's on CD.
Time is money.
So, Setsu's going to push out top lane. Somebody from VP should respond to this. I don't think they should just blind push down this mid lane. I actually feel like then Setsu will get damage on this tier 3 tower, and you always have to worry about that.
Especially with the boots of travel, Setsu has a great build to be able to pop out, get damage on the tier 3 while still joining his team.
Radiant's middle tower is
Defending
under
towers, Siege Dragon leading the way. He's going to open up the tree path that he built for himself and pop out. As soon as it closes in on the tier 3, Virtus Pro will take the tier 2 mid tower though.
Yeah, and now they're going to push out this top lane. And partially because Setsu was so worried that one hero would TP back, he has been punished for it.
Yep. Shrine rotation. Matt TP's coming in. They know where no one is. As soon as they saw the Wraith King over the top lane, they say he's the strongest hero right now. If he's not here, we can win a fight against VP, but no one is still super tanky with that BKB. Slowed down by the Purge. BKB eventually wears out. Setsu going for the split. I still managed to land it onto the Arcopter. What a stop from Pasha though. Pyro, as well as Pasha and Roger just comboed to get a lot of damage with Pyro. Still finished off by Monet, who managed to blink in and finish him off. Now, going back to the shrine, Pasha looks to be able to catch these heroes in flyby, and Monet, the toss forward into the stomp. No, time walk away from Monet. Does manage to get him away. Nice stomp from Lana. At least hits the Centaur flyby, who's super tanky right now. Monet is actually going to go and try and execute solo, but instead going to be caught by the toss. Sitting down by flyby, and now the BKB activated solo. The stomp in, they're trying to finish off this Omni Knight. The physical damage isn't quite enough. It doesn't get off the head of the Grace. While Monet finish off that support, and Monet is now going to turn onto Pasha as well with a soul catcher, bringing this tanky Centaur low. He's trying to find his way out of here, but Roger, a beautiful initiation to stop the force that jump. Somebody died, and they do manage to get him. A follow-up stun onto Monet, but he time walks it off, and Pasha is so low. One swing from Afu, another one. They need a little bit more, and finally he does go down. Roger with the Yule Stone straight to the split earth is dead as well. And Ramses, you don't have the backup anymore, so he's going to start retreating.
It took them so long to kill Flyby.
Dire's bottom tower
It
is
took
under attack.
forever. This Omni Knight, you said it's a free Omni Knight game. He got so much farm, and it shows here in these team fights. His Virtus Pro struggled to be able to bring him down, and round after round of Guardian Angel, Heavenly Grace, so many heals being thrown around, just allowed RNG to persevere through the burst.
It was like a 2-on-4 fight. It lasted so long that the Leshrac was able to respawn, come back in, had a free time, just sort of walk through VP at that point. And it all comes down to the fact that the Flyby lasted for forever.
Yeah.
I actually thought he was going to live for a second. That was a really nice 4-stat by the Elder Titan. If he's able to pop his heal there, I mean, he's going to reset.
And it all starts with Virtus Pro just getting a little undisciplined, right? They show Ramses up there in the top lane, but get caught on top of the shrine. RNG made the read that there was an error in Virtus Pro's moves.
And that's part of when you push out that top lane blind like that. That's why I wanted somebody to push in that lane before they went for the mid push, because then it becomes progressively harder. If you're going to go defend that top tower, you have to make sure that everyone gets out.
Roger in range of the Yule Scepter.
Back-to-back
and now
nets.
he'll die. I don't know if he thought it was going to be a free defense of that tier 1 tower, but all of RNG is here. Well, the rest of Virtus Pro, they're going to try and push the other side of the map.
And they're going to take pressure, though, into the bottom tower.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't even know if that top tower's free. If you think about it, it's still to the shrine. They don't have any vision up there. It's healthy enough that RNG will defend it.
Ramses.
And that's why they go back. They make the smart call. They allow Ramses to just defend. RNG want to avoid this hero right now.
Yeah.
Don't run into
Yeah.
the Wraith King.
We saw that from the last engagement. As soon as the Wraith King showed up on one side of the map, they moved to the other. They're just trying to avoid fights with the Wraith King while he's still so strong. He has the top CF, top net worth right now.
And if you're curious as to why VP didn't just go for the trade right there, it's because they didn't have vision right here. Plus, they know they're weaker.
Yeah.
If the shrine is up for whatever reason, they have vision on top of this hill, or they see you coming, VP's going to get whacked again.
Yeah. And it's part of the reason RNG was willing to trade take that trade. He had the vision on the high ground that allows them to pressure the tier 2, but read Virtus Pro's movements in their defense.
Yeah,
so
ward vision and just being stronger as a 5-man unit and being set up is so important. But Lanem might get run into here. Ramsey's gonna come forward, runs into Afu, who gets 4 staff. Does have the ulti and the disruption. Gonna try to
come in. Roger's trying to finish up Afu, but Sensu coming in. They do have the Guardian's Angel out from the Omni Knight. This is gonna down a lot of damage to VP. They're gonna throw out the Stampede. Yule Scepter chasing that. Ramsey lives on a sliver of health. He still has reincarnation, but they're gonna go for the Omni Knight. Do manage to get him with the stomp, and now it's in Chronosphere. He doesn't get a chance to be able to pop his BKB until the very end, but he's low enough that maybe he can't fight. Monet, he's gonna pop a BKB of his own, and there goes the reincarnation of Ramses. Flyby quite slow, hit by the stomp, and there is the stomp in return now from the Yellow Titan. And now with the big percentage damage, maybe Pasha is actually going to fall here. It looks like too much damage. The Centaur gets overwhelmed. Then Ramses trying to crit around, gets the crit onto Monet, but it's not enough to finish him off. And now they just kind of racing and they'll finish him off. Trees down on the side of Virtus Pro with no buybacks. Captain Solo on the retreat, but going to be found as a 4-stab from Monet, and a time walk will surely end his life. Big time kills. Look at Sensu actually. He's looking to be able to run down no one. He's caught up to him. All that mobility into his favor. No one living with just a sliver of health. Roger to be able to intercept with the Avalanche as well. They won't get wiped entirely, but RNG in a beautiful
gonna find him here.
Afu managed to find him. Oh, but meanwhile, there's that top push at the top lane. No one is going to be able to burst out his own illusion, trying to deal with Afu right now, but that tier 3 at top is taking so much damage. Afu made all that space in the world. Gyrocopter will live through the poison, stacked up, while RNG take tier 3. Shrines are now unlocked.
This reminds me of last game where they just all in for the supports, and Afu's positioning is so good, Cap, that it takes them way too long to be able to kill him. They have to hard commit for the fight, makes it really easy for the Void to line up for the Chrono, and the Stomp from the ET. Lanem's positioning is also very good. He's able to extend the fight with the 4-staff onto a Shadow Demon, and you see why that hero is so highly valued. It's just so tough to bring down. He's gonna get his toolkit off, disrupts himself. The VP have to be better at starting the engagements, because right now they're just filtering in, they're taking too long. You see they hard commit to Afu.
Afu so many times.
Look at this, they're still just all going from, they're ignoring the back line, and because they have to hard commit for this fight, they're just in such bad positions.
No one not popping his BKB and getting stomped by the Elder Titan like that allows them to be able to get the Chronosphere. Even if they don't kill no one in that instance, he's low enough. He can't really commit to these fights. Look at him just playing on the outside lines, and that means when Pasha gets turned around on, no one can't confidently turn and fight with him.
It's either you pop the SD immediately, or hey, what's the point?
Yeah.
As you see, and they're giving up positioning as a result of it. And Ramsey's just laughing because it's getting kind of ridiculous. They're not able to win these engagements.
It's getting kind of ridiculous how often Virtus Pro choking against these other teams here at the International, on the precipice here of completing a 9 through 12 placing at TI, where their 2 previous ended in the 5th, 6th spot, and that was considered a disappointment. I have no idea how Virtus Pro was going to read a bottom placing like this. They're going to have to craft a way to be able to combat RNG, an RNG that is stronger than ever. Now that they've managed to pick up the Aegis, they're looking at an MKB. Monet anticipating the build that's coming out from the Gyrocopter in that Butterfly. Their timing is going to be almost exact. That Butterfly has just been hard countered.
And Monet now, he feels like he can go wherever he wants. Pushing up this top lane real confidently. They're going to take this shrine here, establish vision, start to choke VP out on the map. VP's lineup is still really scary to push up against because they have Ramses who can just frontline for them. They have the counter initiation of the Warlock Rock. The better thing to do with this, just rather than just going blind high ground, I think, is just to get map control.
Right. Fallen.
Especially with Ramses, who's about to get a BKB. But boy, this Omni Knight has just been a pain in the ass for Virtus Pro, man.
Yeah, Flyby, I mean, twice in a row, he's played a very similar style.
Yeah.
Just counter-initiate. He understands the sort of aggression that VP likes to run. Play one of these heroes. Abandon Omni Knight, reset fights, make it difficult for VP to just do the VP thing. in a team fight, get one hero out of the way, move on to the next, cut them out
Radiant
at the
structures
knees.
are fortified.
The last time these two teams matched up against each other was in the group stage. That went 1-1. With the first game going to Virtus Pro with that big team fight lineup, very similar to what they drafted in game 1 of this series. But last time they managed to pull out the W here. Virtus Pro may just get 2-0'd by RNG. Monet, look at how big he is. He's got the MKB on its way and is thinking about Satanic.
I sort of think I don't know. The initiation, of course, is going to matter more, but so is the vision game. They need to be able to find the Shadow Demon immediately.
Tower has fallen.
The combination of Aegis, BK, and Heavenly Grace allows this Void to play on the front lines like most Voids are not able to do.
And Ramsey is going to TP in. They want to take this fight around their shrine area. Plus, they have the high ground. You can't just allow all of your to get filtered out. They're going to run into each other. 5-on-5.
Disruption, Soul Catcher. Ramsey's already quite low. Almost getting burned out immediately. Pasha's going to try and get the chains up, but there's that even Grace. Now Pasha going to slow down, goes to the Stampede, and immediately to Evil Scepter from Sensu. Holds him in place. That's Pasha dead. And no buyback either. Monet not even have to blow the Chronosphere. Is going to look for another one with that time walk. Marching towards the tier 4s, but the initiation coming out from Ramsey with the Avalanche over the top. Mechanic offering as well. They get the Fatal Bonds on top of that, but the time walk allows Monet to stand strong. He's got the Chronosphere on top of the Gyrocopter as well. Half health, but no one flying out the flag, and the damage is going to be enough. No, he gets knocked down. They're so tanky. It's not RNG taking through. 3 dead on the side of Virtus Pro. No buyback for Roger as well. He dies. Immediately buys back. Him and Ramses are going to have to watch Elena Barracks being pummeled down by RNG.
No one does have the buyback, but they're still not very strong right now, Cap. 10 seconds left on this Wraith King ult. Doesn't have BKB. There's still an Aegis on the Void. It's going to last for long enough for them to claim a set of racks. Looking towards mid, but there's still a tier 2 tower. They could just swing up towards top. And initiation.
Nancy's trying to go on the little track immediately, trying to deal with the damage shield. He does have his reincarnation up. Monet is going to take that away from him nice and fast. They do manage to get the toss up in the air on his Sensu. Ramsey's really wanted to be able to lock down the flash right, but can't actually get him. And he may just fall here. It's Monet challenging with Bash. They're fast. Beyond godlike field to finish up Ramsey. Gets rocked as well. He loses the Aegis, but he's got a second life. No one can finish up Sensu. Is that it? Are we seeing the last of Virtus Pro at the International?
They just
and perhaps the last of this roster.
They can't kill anyone, Cap. They hard commit. It must be so demoralizing watching.
There's middle.
Virtus Pro calling. The curse strikes again, and RNG make it through the best of one. They take down the powerhouse of Virtus Pro. Curse strikes again, and RNG make it through the best of one. They take down the CAS powerhouse of Virtus Pro, and the whole crowd is on their feet. The Chinese underdog team of RNG barely makes it through the qualifiers, barely makes it out of group, barely makes it through best of ones, now dominate Virtus Pro in a swift 2-0.
And the Kings of CIS in a stunner. This is what I feel like is our first really big upset. We're going to see VP go home at 12.
The International is a brutal tournament. As you said, TI, it does not care that you were second place in the DPC points. It does not care that you were a top 8 team 2 years previously. It does not care that you are the favorite against RNG. What it cares about is just those wins that RNG were able